Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 21st of September. Apologies if you're around earlier on, and unfortunately I had a problem with the sound. Anyway, it's working now, I believe, so let's get on and look at these markets. Going to start off actually looking at the news. There's not a lot that will affect us today. We've already had the Chinese bank, well, we're on a Chinese bank holiday, so that's that. And we've got the monetary policy meeting minutes that were already out, so no news here. But we have got a raft of central banks this week. The most important in terms of the news will be the FOMC, Fed one, which is tomorrow evening. But before then, there is the Bank of Japan in the morning. It's through the Asian session there. Normally late-ish morning. Early morning, beg your pardon. And then later in the week we've got the Swiss National Bank, the Bank of England, etc. So, but more importantly, today there is nothing, but it might be a little bit quiet on that basis as we move towards the Fed. Right, let's have a look at the technicals, and this is where we're sitting at the moment. Then yesterday carried on pushing through. Bit of a reversal. I was always a bit suspicious. I don't know if I've got the pivots on here. Yep, here's EuroCAD. Let's just put the euro on here. The daily pivots were yesterday's data. There we go. We did find some support in the end into its S1 there. Never got back to its daily pivot. Did start curling around later on, but I was a little bit suspicious. There was got divergence. Let's go back here, so you can see there's a bit of divergence off the RSI as it was breaking down, but it carried on going. Didn't make it for a trade at all for me yesterday, but it did eventually break the high between the divergence, and off it's gone a little bit. However, for today, what I'm looking for is quite simple: a break above the R1 here, and I become a bit bullish, a bit more bullish, maybe looking for bullish alternatives back up towards its weekly pivot. It has already put a higher low in. If I can draw on here, it'll be even better. We have got this higher low that sort of put in at this point with this high taking the previous high out. But really what I'm looking for is if it breaks below the daily pivot. It's just heading back to its daily pivot, high probability of that being hit. So I'm just waiting to see if it breaks back through there. If it starts breaking back, then I become bearish on this market again, or continue to be bearish on the market, I should say. Okay, that's where we are there. Okay, let's delete that and move on to the pound. I'm not going to run through every single currency here today because there's some that just don't set up any trades, but I'll just talk high level. Pound has been very, very bearish. Yesterday it really did sell off at one stage, but likewise curled round eventually. In fact, if I put the pivots on here again, there we go. So it too, oh no, it's the euro, it's alright, it's not switching currencies across. There we go. It too, actually, it initially was into its S2, went through a little bit more aggressively, but we are sitting there today into a, let's get on here, there we go, into its daily pivot here. I've already drawn the line here, the line in the sand, in terms of I become bearish below that. Sitting on my hands a little bit above it, but it might manage to do something a little bit more here. Erring more on the bearish side, so I'm sort of waiting. It may be that I wait for it to come into the 50 and give me a bit of a reversal. I look for a short from that sort of point, but otherwise I'm short below this line at the moment. Euro, a quick look, daily dollar yen. Yesterday we saw it going with the dollar. It was in fact the strongest of the currency pairs and majors yesterday. But that's more a sort of a risk-off situation. We've also seen the Swiss franc getting stronger against the US dollar as well. So both those currencies had a bit eased off this morning, and obviously, well, I say eased off with the euro and the pound a little bit there. And we're sort of seeing this sort of opposite movement coming through on the yen. There's the dollar selling a little bit here as well. But okay, there we go. Aussie dollar. I'm not going to go through this in actually the Aussie is a bit more likely to turn up a trade. It is sitting into its 4-hourly 21. Yet again, it's sort of been banging into this area, just waiting here patiently to see what happens. Again, it's a simple trend line that I'm looking for here in terms of giving me the signal for some weakness. Hasn't caught its daily pivot yet, so it's probably safer below its 60-minute 21 in terms on the short side, but maybe looking for prior lows there. There was support at 72.38 last time. Maybe it could even get, well, it's less of a chance of getting from the R1 down to the S1. The probability is a little bit tighter, but it may, as I say, may push on south a little bit back to these lows at least. If you don't mind holding it, it might go further. Okay, Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar finally. So the election results out. Trudeau's held on just to a minority, and well, that's it then. We've seen a little bit of strength coming back, but we've seen that same strength running through all the markets against the US dollar this morning, so, or over the last few hours. So potential for it to get back to its weekly pivot. I'm still not that positive the way it's sitting at the moment. The big money's not favouring the Canadian dollar that much. It may be that we get a bit more of a bounce up yet, so just watching it. If it doesn't go from where it is now and start pushing up, it might come back from the weekly pivot back down there at 127. Okay, it's Canadian dollar. Right, that's pretty much it on those majors. Let's just have a look at the cross pair that I spent quite a bit of time trading. The euro yen, it did leave quite a bearish swingy sort of continuation move there, but again, with the euro just finding support, and well, the euro's finding support, so as the euro yen found some support into its sort of S1 area. So that's where it sits at the moment. I mean, a bigger move up could see it working back towards its weekly pivot up here at 129.23. So, but it could all change quite quickly. I'm just looking at what it's doing. There's divergence where it sits here. It's in a nice downward trend. There's a lovely line across here. So there we go, somewhere around that sort of territory. So really looking below that, if it reverses back below the daily pivot, it becomes bearish and may give me an opportunity there for the short side. Looking at the prior lows and then the S1. Right, that's pretty much it there currency wise. Let's have a quick look at gold. I almost went silver then. So gold yesterday managed to recover a little. It did pitch in through the Asian session there lower. At the moment, the weekly pivot looks like a potential sort of area, sort of a little bull flag, but in a sort of bearish trend with lower highs, lower lows. To me, it's very iffy at the moment. It's just come off its daily pivot today. Maybe there's for the scalpers out there, there's potentially a trade on the break there up towards that, as I said, that previous target. Might still stall, but back into these highs, these prior highs here at 1767 sort of area. Need to be a bit careful, but it's been up there a couple of times. Maybe next time it'll push on. Right, oil. So energy prices been pushing up. Yesterday didn't really do too much. It again got a bit of a bounce. It didn't quite catch back to its daily 21, but it did hit its weekly pivot here and 4-hourly 100 moving average. Bit of a bounce. I've been sort of I've avoided it on the short side because of the sort of moves, and I just think there may be a positive surprise coming through at some point. It just pushes it up even again with all the talk of energy, but it is looking on the softer side, so it would have to be back above the weekly pivot for me to be looking on the long side. And my preference is always to trade Western Texas. If I'm day trading it in its own session at least, so at least getting sort of the 2 o'clock sort of time, and when you've got some more volumes through there. So that's to be left for me for now, but doesn't look as good as it was. Right, okay, let's have a look at the other markets then, if you can. Get the right one. Let's push into here. Going to look at the other markets, he says. I'm going to look at it actually first. Let's get let's have the daily would be good. See what's happened with the Nikkei there. So no major surprise, big gap down. A lot of these markets are down. There's a lot of concern around Evergrande, and that's we're seeing the signs there. 21st, that is today. Yep, there's no market yesterday, but seen it gap down quite a big old way through the Asian session there, and well, potential more gaps and more downside on that Nikkei at the moment. CSI should be closed still because it's it's still 17th September. Right, as it's Chinese bank holidays, 2 days in a row. Okay. FTSE's up this morning, and this sort of ties in with the currencies all being a bit more bullish as well, so a bit more bullishness through the markets, but I'm not convinced that any of these, that this is DAX is also at the moment bullish. Harami, it has, as I said, this was the weaker one in my book. It had broken the lows, and looks just that little bit softer. The French, the CAC, also up today at the moment, so all three of the European major markets there turning positive there. Well, positive for now at least. I'll just be a bit wary, maybe a reaction to the undersides of some of the key moving averages there. Right, S&Ps went a bit, well, caught the, I talked about the 100 moving average, caught the 100 moving average nicely, decent. It's gone through it somewhat, but found a bit of a bounce. For if you're holding on, being a bit greedy, maybe it's just that's it. It's done. That's the weekly. Weekly 21 is also there, big pardon as well. That level anyway, support there for now. We'll see if that continues through today. So Dow is also up there, so yep, and the just looking at Nasdaq also, so yeah, all these markets pushing up. Right, at the moment all could turn, but for now they're looking a bit more positive. Cryptos, well, yesterday we just saw the selling off. Today we've seen a test of the 100 MA here, a bit of a drop. And is this a dead cat bounce, or is this something more to come from here as well? This is to me, it's made it pretty weak. It's given it lower high there, bit suspicious, but we could get buyers coming from, as I say, from that bounce off the 100 MA. Ethereum comes short with 100 MA, but again lower high confirmed there. It does just look to me a bit more on the softer side. Give it a while if you're in sort of longer term traders on this, and it may get a bounce and be pushing back up there. May just need, I would personally like to see a bit more confirmation. I'm not really looking to try and catch bottoms and tops. I'd look for the confirmation that there is something more to this move before buying into these, particularly as I'm would be more of a longer term buy and holder on these. Very speculative though, of course. Right, that's it for me. I wish you a great day. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now.